Welcome back to the Gridiron Guys YouTube channel, and today we are almost wrapping up our NFL draft grades with our second to last division, the AFC East. And this division had a lot of intriguing options with New England looking for a new identity, the Miami Dolphins getting their franchise quarterback, the Bills bolstering a Super Bowl contending roster, and the Jets surprisingly not messing it up for once. So let's get right into it with the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo traded their first-round pick for Stephon Diggs, and they traded a few more late-round picks to acquire him. They had decent draft capital despite that, but they managed to get 5 of our top 100 graded players, and we gave them a B+ due to that. Kevin, what did you like that Buffalo did with their limited draft capital?
I liked what they did with their limited draft capital. Just the way they approached the draft, got a lot of value prospects. Nobody that's like an out of the park pick, but all players that can develop into really good players. Like AJ Epinesa was a really highly regarded draft pick. Early on in the scouting process, had a poor combine, but the talent is still there. He's a unique build. Not he can play inside, outside on the D line. I think Buffalo is a great fit for him. He's more of a traditional D end. Zach Moss, him and Singletary can be a great combo. Gabriel Davis and Isaiah Hodgins are both solid receivers with a lot of upside. They possess some good catching. They're kind of bigger body receivers, which is what Josh Allen likes in a receiver, so they could fit well. Jake Fromm is one of the most intelligent quarterbacks. He'll be a great backup for years to come. Tyler
Yeah,
Bass,
that was great value
great
right there, I
pick.
think, with
Yeah, that was a
Jake
great fifth
Fromm.
round pick. Plus, he's cheap too.
Backups are in high
Yeah,
demand nowadays, especially when you have a running quarterback like Allen. He may go down for a few games. You don't want to have to play him. You have a competent backup that can win a game or two against some lackluster opponents.
I feel like
I
this. I feel like Jake Fromm is gonna wind up in a Nick Foles type of situation. I feel like Buffalo's headed in that direction. They're gonna have a Carson Wentz, Nick Foles problem.
I mean, I think Allen's definitely the guy, but I could see
Oh
him missing
yeah,
some
for
games
sure.
to injury. I mean, this is probably the AFC East favorite by a wide margin this year, I would say. I would be surprised if anyone even comes close to challenging in this division.
I agree.
I like the Zach Moss pick because I think Singletary is good. That's probably my favorite pick, but I think he's better in a split role, and I don't think they're trying to feature Singletary. I also like drafting 2 wide receivers because you're playing for the future here, even though you have Diggs. John Brown's probably 1 more year on his contract. Beasley is just the stopgap. Now you have some skill positions for Josh Allen to really work, and this defense is top of the line. I think Buffalo is going to be amongst the NFL's elite this year. I think they're still being slept on, and they just did a great job with overall adding talent to all parts of their roster.
Mm,
I mean, this team could be competing for a bye this year after missing the playoffs for how many years prior to last? A lot.
yeah, it
That's
was
all I
like
know.
20 or something like
It
that.
was something insane. But Josh Allen, I think, is better than everyone expected, and this roster is really talented. Buffalo
And
did a good job here adding to
Buffalo
that.
is back.
They really are. Another team that's working on getting back to at least some winning culture is the New York Jets. And I think for once the Jets can feel a bit better after the draft than what they usually do. They got Mekhi Becton to fall to them at number 11, and you could say Denzel Mims fell to them in the second round. And these are 2 really, really talented prospects. But the one thing that scares me with the Jets' 2 top draft picks is these are complete boomer bust prospects. Becton and Mims have extremely high ceilings and extremely low floors. So that's a lot of risk to take for a team that was picking inside the top 10. That's concerning, but the overall talent they grabbed was really nice. I like Ashton Davis in the 3rd round because that's a player who's more, I would say, ready to play day one. I don't get drafting a safety for them unless Jamal Adams is on the way out, but I think he's a much safer prospect. That's what I mean. This is a high risk draft for the Jets, and if it works out, it works out. But if it doesn't, it's going to be a big, colossal failure that could see the end of the Adam Gase era.
Yeah, I think when you look through this whole draft, you look at Mekhi Becton is a position of need. Mims is a position of need. And both of those guys, like you said, boomer bust players. Mims and Perriman both remind me of each other, and both of them also remind me of Robbie Anderson. And losing Robbie Anderson was obviously a big loss for them. So I think those two will fit in and basically replace Robbie Anderson. So I don't really see much of an upgrade yet, but who knows? Maybe in the future, Mims will take off. Mekhi Becton will definitely help over whoever they had at left tackle last year. Plus, when you look later on in the draft, he got some good depth, which is why we gave him a B plus. Jabari Zuniga is a promising defensive end talent. I don't think he'll put up great numbers in the NFL, but he'll put up some solid numbers as a rotational piece. Ashton Davis, maybe they're going to run a three safety formation, but they have Marcus May and Jamal Adams, so I question that. But Lamichael Pirine is a very strong running back. He's going to be a nice tandem with Le'Veon Bell. And the one questionable pick I had was James Morgan. I don't get that pick because I think he has a lot of potential, but he's not going to do anything with Adam Gase. Cameron Clark from Charlotte was a team captain for a few years. I think he has a lot of upside to be a great guard. That was a great pick. Bryce Hall would have been a second-round pick if he was healthy. Fifth round, that's a steal. And Braden Mims is one of the best punters in college football in the past couple of years. So
Yeah, I mean, this Jets defense is actually pretty good. It surprised a lot of people last year with the level it played at. I just think that this offense could be anywhere from terrible to, I would say, pretty decent. Because Sam Darnold has shown that he can play at a high level at times, but he's also shown the majority of his career where he's turnover prone and he looks lost. And they have a lot of new faces on the offensive line. I don't even know if they're going to retain any starters from last year, maybe one or two. But, I mean, Mims is also a high-risk player. I think the Jets, you just really don't know what you're getting. I mean, you're hoping for Le'Veon Bell to not put up that season he put up last year.
yeah, no, you gotta hope that he actually has more than one carry for 20 yards this year.
I mean, yeah, he played terrible last year. Bilal Powell was better. I mean, I don't know. I think the Jets did. I'm not saying that, like, when we say they're Becton and Mims are boomer bust prospects, we're saying that they have high risk, but those were the right picks at that position. We're not saying they got overdrafted. It's just a lot of risk that you're taking in the draft, and it's hard to justify that when your team is picking in the top of the first round every year.
Mm.
But I think the Jets got it right. We'll see, but they did well in our book. Now it's Miami, a team that had so much draft capital, most in recent memory that I even see a team having. I mean, they overhauled this roster in free agency in the draft, and Tua was the right pick at 5. We had a much better grade on him than Herbert. Austin Jackson at 18. I thought that was a bit of a reach. He wasn't too high on our tackle rankings. I like the corner out of Auburn. I can't pronounce the name.
Igbiagani.
He plays physical. He has good ball skills. He has good length. I think that was great value towards the end of the third round. Robert Hunt will add some interior depth to that offensive line. I mean, they just added so much talent in this draft, and then the overhauling in free agency. Miami is a team that you don't know what you're getting next year. They have a great coach, I think, in Brian Flores.
Yeah, I think he's a really great coach.
And who knows how much Tua is going to play. I think they'll be more okay with playing Tua early on if their offensive line comes to play much better than, I guess, they expect to early on. They have a lot of new additions there. They could have 3, maybe 4 new starters year one. And I just don't think they want to risk Tua on that. So I don't see them being very good next year, but I think they're going in the right direction. They just added a bunch of NFL players on this team. I think you could say they're going to have 5, 6, 7 contributors from this draft class.
Yeah, they added a lot of players from big-time programs. I think you start with Tua. He got it done in the national championship game. You're hoping for the best. I love Tua. Great quarterback. By far better than Herbert, too.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Austin Jackson, I agree, was a reach. I feel like they could have grabbed him at 30, but then again, you never know. Igbiagani, I was at first very questionable of it because they already have the two highest paid corners in the NFL. But I did learn that Brian Flores plays a lot of like four cornerback rotations, and I think they have Eric Rowe too. So their corner group is going to be really, really good.
Oh yeah, they have an elite secondary.
They have a great secondary now.
Miami's an
Plus,
underrated
adding
defense this
Brandon
year.
Jones. Brandon Jones is going to be a great safety for them. I really like him. And then adding to the line, like you said, Solomon Kidley, Robert Hunt, Austin Jackson, a couple of other linemen too. This is going to be a completely revamped team. You can say the tank for Tua went pretty well. Also, Raekwon Davis and Curtis Weaver were great value picks because both show a lot of potential when used right.
Was Mika's draft pick? It was what they drafted with
That was
Austin Jackson,
18.
right?
Yeah.
Imagine if Miami didn't trade Mika Fitzpatrick for Austin Jackson. The secondary they'd be looking at right now, arguably top 10 corners and likely the best safety in the league. That's as shut down as it gets. That hurts. I
I would
not high
never
on
have
Austin
traded Minka.
Jackson. You can't trade. I mean, if you're gonna trade him, you need at least two firsts.
You need at least
He
two
was a
first.
top
He's
10
so
pick.
young.
He's so good.
He's way too young.
That trade really hurt them because you traded a all-pro top 15 NFL talent right now for offensive tackle who I probably had as I want to say tackle 7 or 8. I don't even see him as a left tackle. I see him as a right tackle. That's going to hurt Miami. If he turns out to be really good, I mean, offensive left tackle is far more valuable than a corner safety. So I guess it works out for them, but that's just way too much risk that I'm not willing to take. But I think no one knows what they're getting out of Miami next year. This roster is probably going to have the most new starters in the league. It's going to be a fun new young team to follow and see. Does it come together or does it kind of fluster with a lot of rebuilds usually do in the first year?
Mm-hmm.
It'll be interesting.
Who knows? They might have an average year next year, turn into another lottery pick, and then take their stride.
Yeah, we'll see. Miami's not ready to beat Buffalo yet, but I think they have potential to get second place in their division. Moving on to New England. And in typical New England fashion, they decided to trade out and select Kyle Duggar out of a Division II school. Kyle Duggar is an elite physical prospect. He's great in special teams. He's rangy, great intangibles. I mean, if Bill Belichick can sculpt him to be the next Kyle Van Noy, which I think is what they had in mind, he's going to be a phenomenal player. It's a great fit. Josh Uche will add to that front seven. They drafted 2 tight ends. New England just sticks with its ways. I think what we realized is they're not going to panic. They do this every year. They let a bunch of talent walk out the door. They go to the draft. They draft a bunch of guys who people aren't that high on, but they seem to fit their scheme and just thrive there. What do you take away from this New England draft for this year and the coming future of the new regime without
They
Brady?
had a big trend, and obviously it was replacing what they lost with athleticism and youth. Kyle Duggar, I think, is going to take. He could either go into a Devin McCourty type of role and learn under him for this year, or he'll turn into a guy like Kyle Van Noy. Uche is a guy out of Michigan. They love Michigan defensive ends. I don't actually Michigan in general. Look at like Tom Brady and all that.
Winkovich, all that.
Winovich, yeah. Yeah, it was just a very versatile draft. Anthony Jennings from Bama too was a very versatile linebacker. And then Dalton Keene and Devin Asiasi are both very versatile tight ends, can do a lot of different things. So I think instead of replacing, because they're still looking to replace Gronk after last year, and I think just adding multiple tight ends that can do it and going to multiple tight end personnel is probably what they're going to go into. So we're going to look at a different Patriots offense that'll still produce.
I mean, and the big takeaway is there's no quarterback in the draft and there's no quarterback in free agency. So
they believe in Stidham or Trevor Lawrence.
I mean, as for this, New England doesn't cross manage the team who's going to take a year off. I really do think that they think Stidham could win them a lot of games this year. I also do think their offensive skill positions aren't great, but their defense is going to be really, really good again. So if a few guys actually turn out to pan out, like N'Keal Harry or Sony Michel turns it around, you get a good year out of one of these tight ends. I think Stidham could put up pretty decent numbers, and he doesn't have to do much. Last year, Brady did not put up good stats, and look at them; they won 14 games, and they kind of fell off in the playoffs. But I think New England's really being underrated right now. People just look at their roster every single year, and they just don't think they're that talented, and they just manage to win games.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think New England won't really fall off too hard. I think they'll definitely decline a little bit, but as long as Stidham can get his job done, I think they'll be all right.
Exactly, and we gave them a C plus strictly off talent they acquired compared to other teams. But as New England usually does, they turn a bunch of guys who no one is high on into great team fits for them who really excel in their system. So that C plus might be a B plus by the end of next year. You never know with New England. They only just acquired 2 guys in our top 100, and not really one of our elite prospects. So it's hard to judge. But I mean, Kyle Duggar could be the next versatile Pro Bowl linebacker for all we know. New England's a mystery. But that concludes our AFC East draft grades. We're gonna be putting out our AFC South sometime this weekend or next week, and that will conclude the segment. Stay tuned with our social media on Instagram. We'll be posting. We've already posted all of these draft grades, and we're working on new content and soon fantasy. So make sure to follow us there on Instagram, Gridiron_guys_YT, and make sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment down below what you think of these draft grades.